want to share with you the power of dreams.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and welcome to this new Alliance Conference organized by ICE Goria and Audencia Professor Vincent Lefebvre. Our guest tonight comes from the other side of the globe, and his story starts some 30 years ago. The year is 1985. The place, the Philippines. The man, Tony Meloto. Mr. Meloto, you were 35 years old. Then, you were living a comfortable life as an executive at Procter&Gamble. You had managed to climb the social ladder and were part of the well-to-do in a country that was crippled by utter poverty. You were enjoying a peaceful existence with a loving family and a steady job. Fair enough, most people would settle for it. But that year, something changed. While today governments strut and fret about sustainable development, at the time, everywhere you looked in the Philippines, you couldn't help witnessing what you still call sustainable poverty. Yet, your country was full of resources, opportunities, and talents. You were, and still are, a devout Christian and a patriot, a man motivated by strong values, who cares for his people. From that year on, you've wanted to let Filipinos ride the winds of history, at last let them master the fate. You knew you had to give your people a chance, and you wouldn't let corruption, aid instead of trade, or big business interests get in the way. You were to hack poverty. And so was born your NGO in 2003, Gawad Kalinga, giving care. That's what Gawad Kalinga means in Tagalog. But facing such a tremendous challenge as dealing with poverty in the Philippines, what were you to do? My role is to connect people, you once said. Indeed, you did bring people in your project. Your daughter, Camille, who's here with us today, works for Human Nature, a company now competing with your former employer in the Philippines. Fabien Courteil, founder of Plush and Play, created this toy company thanks to Gawad Kalinga as well. Louis Faure and Vincent Tatel enabled efficient local chicken farms to swarm thanks to free birds. All those entrepreneurs are just the tip of the iceberg, with 1 million people underlying Gawad Kalinga: scientists, farmers, students, interns, and a lot more social entrepreneurs. 1 million people to drag another million out of poverty doesn't sound that impossible, right? Yet, it took one man to gather all those people, you, Mr. Meloto. And there is no way you would stop now. you have started building communities and are looking forward to seeing them grow. With the Enchanted Farm, the Silicon Valley of social entrepreneurs, and with Gawad Kalinga's SEED, School for Experiential and Entrepreneurial Development, you have laid a strong foundation to take another 4 million Filipinos out of poverty by 2024. Before hearing Mr. Meloto himself, I'd like a wave of applause for the man who made this conference possible tonight, Vincent Lefebvre. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vincent Lefebvre. I'm professor of entrepreneurship here in Audencia, and I'm also in charge of all the entrepreneurial education for all the group. I'm very, very glad to welcome Tony, Camille, Fabien, and Vincent. Louis cannot come this evening. He will be here tomorrow morning for my students in major, but he had a problem with his train, so sorry about that. I decided to say only a few words to begin, and it was not a picture he decided to have when he was talking. It was my decision. I decided to introduce cliché about social entrepreneurship, and I don't know why, but it's always French word. It's a priori, cliché, caricature. It's always French word. I don't know why, but I'm going to speak French so this evening. I'm going to use cliché. Why am I going to use cliché to talk about entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship? Because it's the way people see things. And I'm really saying that the job we have in a business school, the job they have in Gawad Kalinga is fighting against cliché and try to change the opinion. And I will, at the last, present you my own and personal utopia about social entrepreneurship. So I'm going to use those cliché, and it's also the beginning. It's a question of why is there a schism between entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship? Why are we talking about social entrepreneurship, to be honest? Is there any reason? Probably there is reason if you are looking at cliché. And first of all, I'm going to have a look at cliché on entrepreneurs. First of all, you know him. He's the big boss, the one with a nuclear plant, the one which is doesn't really take care about people. He doesn't take care about the environment. He doesn't take care about anything except himself. And he's also looking only for money and profitability. And also is going to try to build an empire. And these are the cliché of entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs. And if we are looking on the social entrepreneurship side, what are the cliché? It's people who love everyone and think the world is beautiful. And I'm quite okay with that option. But if they look like hippies, people can't think they are hippies. They also say, okay, they only live with grants. I mean, grants is not it's not part of the definition of social entrepreneurship. I'm going to do the professor just a little bit, talking about theory in social entrepreneurship. But social entrepreneurship at the beginning, it's focused on the middle of the 50s. It's born with social companies with aim to and goals with social goals. And also in the 90s, it was focused on social entrepreneurship is the entrepreneurial activities of NGO. And in the 2000s, it's social entrepreneurship. It's every kind of organization with a social goals. So grant is not, it's a cliché. And the last cliché, it's small. Social entrepreneurship is small. And this evening, I'm really sure you are probably all those clichés will be broken. And my personal opinion is that we need a reconciliation between social entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship. And when I met last year, Alvi and Shannon from Gawad Kalinga, two entrepreneurs, I realized that those people, if I want, and I told my students, those people are talking about entrepreneurship I'd never met entrepreneurs talking this way. It's so great to hear them talking about entrepreneurship. And on the other side, when I saw startups in 2016, I don't have really the feeling that they are going to not respect the world. They are not, don't have any tie or things like that. They are acting like everyone. And my way to utopia, it's not that far. It's not 8,000 kilometers. But my desire, my own desire is maybe one day we won't have to talk about social entrepreneurship. It's provocative, I desire a provocative speech. Because social entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship is becoming only one thing. Entrepreneurship, how we can do that kind of thing? We can do that kind of thing with responsibility of everyone. I really think that, and this is what we have here in Audencia, we have a very oriented CSR business school and also entrepreneurship business school. And when I work with students on project, the CSR dimension of the project, the social dimension of the project, and I really think that tomorrow there will not, every entrepreneur can have social goals, social aims. They are focusing and they will have social impact factors. They will focus on all those elements. And this is a kind of utopia. It's maybe one day we won't have to talk anymore about social entrepreneurship because every entrepreneur will be a social entrepreneur. And I really think that we can do it. Yeah, an utopia that we can do, it's something very strange. I will let them talk and we'll quit the place and we'll let the students ask questions. I will launch a short movie introducing all the Gawad Kalinga the Enchanted Farm, and thanks a lot to come to Nantes and visit us. And I propose to applause all those people. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the Enchanted Farm, the first farm village university in the world. This is an exciting place where people from all over the world come together to help address poverty in this community that used to be a wasteland. Now they have converted it into a place of abundance. So our goal is to be able to create a prototype within 7 years and to be able to replicate this in 24 other provinces in the Philippines and bring this to other countries of the world where poverty exists. Today we have attracted more than 1,000 entrepreneurs coming from the top universities of the world, and we have also developed several products that have entered the market. Our goal to end poverty is to be able to really empower rich and poor to work together so that they can bring their competencies, they can bring their genius to make the land productive. And so we now have this beautiful place where people bring out the best from others by giving the best of themselves. This is the magic of the Enchanted Farm. And please come and discover the magic for yourself.
Hi, my name is Fabian. I'm the founder of Plush and Play, and we've created this workshop together with the mothers from the community. And this is the home of the proudly Filipino tourists. And you can see those fruits and vegetables behind me are handcrafted by the mothers in their houses, and they are named after local celebrities here in the Philippines.
So good evening, and thank you again for being here. Maybe you'd like to say a few words to introduce Gawad Kalinga in front of all of us and comment on the video you just showed us, which is beautiful, if you please.
Thank you. This is just the beginning of a journey that we have taken to liberate ourselves from our colonial mentality, and for us to really find our place in the global community. We honor the heroism of over 11 million Filipinos who went abroad to seek opportunities, but we also honor their heroism also of the French who have come to our country to help us also build a new economic platform that is inclusive for an emerging economy like the Philippines, which is now the fastest rising economy in Asia. So we are here to honor this unique partnership. We've never had any relationship with the French, but 6 years ago when we started to build our platform for social artistry, it is again a blend of non-profit and also the for-profit. And so we wanted to address the cliche that Vincent mentioned, that there should be no separation, because everything that we do has to really be inclusive. So we have to build a world where no one is an enemy or victim, and there is no bias, towards anyone because of race or religion or sex. But the most important thing is for us to really build for the next generation and to undo what has been done in our country. So after building about 3,000 communities all over the Philippines, we have shown the world that we are also the solution to our own problems. That it is time for us not to really just depend everything on government and blame everything on government. And for us also to put our faith into action. Because oftentimes, people are very religious, but when it comes to putting their faith into action, it's another story. So what we have done here is to also put our faith into action by defining certain values. And so, first of all, we realized that in business we should go for values, not just money. And that in also trying to see that for us also to think of stewardship, not ownership, stewardship of our talents, stewardship of the land, stewardship of our business. And so for us, basically, is we create wealth that will make the world kinder, that will make the world fairer, that will make the world safer. And it was because of my daughter here, Camille, and her sisters, because I have 4 daughters. And I wanted the world to be safer for them. I came to realize that the privilege I had of getting quality education from a top university, the corporate experience as an executive of a multinational company, allowed me to build my artificial bubble of safety and comfort. So in the Philippines, when you are successful, you live in an exclusive subdivision with high walls, with security guards, and you send your children to exclusive schools. But oftentimes we're blind to the deepening poverty around us. So the maids that serve us, they also live in slums and very subhuman conditions. And it was really just this big disparity, that our own blindness, our neglect of our human capital was causing our poverty. And the slums just produced more criminals, drug dealers, and also a lot of rebels and terrorists also in the countryside. So again, it was my concern for the next generation, starting with my children and my grandchildren, that made me realize that the privilege I had of a quality education was not being put to good use. So I went to the biggest slum called Bagong Silang that was home to about 600,000 of the relocated informal settlers. And I went there. They had no land. They were living in in animal pens. They had no access to clean water. They had no toilets in their homes. And then it was also the biggest university for criminals. So I spent about 7 years going there practically every day just to understand the poverty of our people. And we built the first community involving the people themselves, particularly the men. Because oftentimes in development, again, another cliche, that when we talk about social entrepreneurship, we talk about development, it's always micro, and it is always focused on women. Because development somehow has a bias towards the men. And so microfinance in our country is all women. Micro enterprises are all women. But our criminals are men. Our drug dealers are men. Our wife beaters are men. And being a father of 4 daughters, I realized that something had to be done. So we started building houses where the men got involved, and they contributed labor equity, and they also underwent our values formation. And for them to live in our community, they have to also agree, no drunkenness, no drugs, no gambling, and for them to become providers, protectors of the home. It was not easy, but it was the beginning of a journey. And we were able to build communities for over 1 million Filipinos, and simply through a multi-sectoral partnership. So we were able to work with corporate CSR, we work with local government, we work with the poor themselves to provide equity, because they had no money, but we put value to their labor equity. And we got a lot of universities to do their community service with us. So building a community was basically involved 4 to 5 stakeholders. And that also provided, the solidarity also provided us with values, not just money, but we built it we put value to the land, to the labor, to the corporate CSR, and so on. And so when we saw that we can actually end poverty through miracles of solidarity, and also first with a bottom-up approach, again, another cliche, because oftentimes development is top-down. So people with money, people with education, they look to the poor with pity, with compassion as objects of charity, but never as human asset. So our goal by doing a bottom-up approach was to see them as real asset, not liabilities, as wealth, not waste, as blessing, not burden, and as protectors, not threats. And true enough, the first community built was peaceful. replicated it in 10 cities, it was the same results. That when you transform the men, then you remove also the threats to the community. Because women in my country are not the problem. But oftentimes, development sees them only as the solution. And anyway, we also showed that the poor can think beyond micro. That now, so today we have Louis from HEC partnering with somebody from the bottom of the pyramid who's only 18 years old, who learned only to speak English 2 years ago. He's now learning how to speak French. But unthinkable for a person like him, who is the son of a garbage collector, to be here in France. And he is speaking in 20 universities in 2 weeks. And he got a standing ovation at the World Forum for Responsible Economy in Grenoble. So again, another thing is that our development is rural, because we realize that everyone is just congesting the cities, but we have abandoned 10 million hectares of fertile land. So we have to develop our human capital to create wealth in the countryside to mitigate urban migration. So another cliche that we have to break, that everyone has to go to the city to look for a job and build more slums and congest the traffic, which is terrible in Manila. But it is a country of such great abundance, a country of creative, talented people, especially those at the bottom of the pyramid. We have undiscovered, unexplored, untapped wealth. And so we realize that it is when, again, our approach is to bring the most educated to the bottom of the pyramid, because it's, again, about the power of presence. Because if the poor will go to the rich, they will go to serve them as maids, as drivers, as security guards, or even as thieves. So we realize that we should bring the rich to the poor. They should come down from their ivory tower, because the biggest problem in our country is those privileged with the best education are also the most disconnected. And so they use the smart apps and all of the social media just to share ideas when they should be going to the bottom of the pyramid, and to really discover, what life is really about and how we can make the future better. So anyway, my daughter Camille, I'm so happy 3 days ago when we were here, it was announced that her company that she started out at the age of 22, barely 8 years ago, now is the nominee for the global award as the Sustainable Beauty Award of the world. And the awards will be given on October 24 in Paris. And it's amazing. She just as a simple girl. And they are the company that has received the most number of certification from the U.S. as natural products. They have over 60 brands that are now certified, bigger than any brand in the United States. And that's a bottom-up approach, because most of the people working for them are from the Gawad Kalinga communities. So again, when I saw the scale, I hope that Vincent will give me the video of his speech, because I really love his presentation about really for us to really look at the world with a different lens, that we should not just accept the cliches, about development. But anyway, Fabian here he also did not like the cliches that he heard, because again, business was not inclusive, and it was not contributing towards making the world safer and kinder for the next generation. So we have a platform. We have received over 1,000 French interns from 22 universities. Last night, we were overwhelmed by the overflow crowd at HEC. It was so full that people had to sit on the stairs, on the floor, simply because now we have created a brand from the Philippines, that is now recognized by the French universities, that we are now really building this bridge that is now an ecosystem for social entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who will really build a safer planet for the next generation. And it is by destiny for us in Gawad Kalinga why, that the French came, because they have a very deep understanding of our concept of inclusive development, through social entrepreneurship. And they still have, we learn from them, they learn from us, But the most important thing is that by destiny, we have no history with France, but we're taking our journey together. And Camille here is going to Marseille tomorrow because she sources now most of her essential oil that cannot be produced in the Philippines from France. So her lavender, her and eucalyptus and the other. Yes. And so what we're showing also that this is really a long-term, lasting partnership that is scalable. You know, that what the good things that the French are doing in the Philippines will also benefit France. Because now they have found a home in the Philippines. This is what Nicolas Hulot asked me when President Hollande visited last year. Because the first place he wanted to go to was the Enchanted Farm. So Nicolas Hulot asked me, is France going to lose all the bright students of France to the Philippines? And including Amelie here, who has graduated recently, and I think has extended her stay in the Philippines. But I told Nicolas Hulot, no, France is going to gain a partner, a market, a friend, a home in Asia. You know, and so anyway, we're here to extend those, to express our joy and to express our gratitude that for whatever reason, young people from Audencia, young people from different universities in France have now called the family also, they have seen the Philippines now as a land of opportunity in Asia and as their home in Asia. So thank you. I hope that I will let these young people, I will shut up tonight and let these young people to speak. So she's very shy, so she's not used to speaking to big audiences, but I have two older daughters who are more outgoing, but I guess the fact also that she is the best formulator for this product. She is quiet, but she should be proud of what she has done, and that she is going, in time, we look forward to partnering with Sephora to distribute our products here in France.
Good evening, everyone. So I guess I'll just talk a bit about our company as well, the social the enterprise that we built. So I'm 30 years old now, and the company started a little over 7 years ago, so turning 8 this November. And it's called Human Nature. But for every single person, I guess we all have our journey in why we start to become entrepreneurs or whatever track that we try to pursue as well. So for me, it started by having him as a father. So having a father like Tony Meloto, I guess the dream has started way, way before even it began in the Philippines. And so maybe I was 5, 6 years old. As early as I could remember, if we wanted to spend time with our father, we don't ask for a vacation with him to go somewhere. We don't ask him to take us out. What we have to do is go into the community with him and spend time with him. And growing up in that kind of way, I guess being in the community, it makes you really familiar with the people in there, that you don't consider the poor as someone that's different from you. You consider them as pretty much like family and like a community. I see them, I call them like uncles, aunties, like sister and brother already, because that's just really how we were raised. And early on, our father already had that kind of dream. He would say things like, "No Filipino deserves to be poor," as early as I was 7 years old. And hearing this kind of message ever since you're 5, 6, 7 for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I guess that will kind of implant a message in your brain that if you were to pursue something further in life, you will have to consider that and not just think about yourself. And so I guess that's the same for me and my sister. We are actually 5 siblings. So we grew up in that environment. We grew up in an environment where we were volunteering for Gawad Kalinga early on. And so the theory or the idea about human nature actually came a little over 9 years ago, maybe in 2007, me, my sister, and my brother-in-law, we were all volunteers of Gawad Kalinga in America. The couple, they were going around all over the U.S. to really advocate and, rally people to know about Gawad Kalinga and come to the Philippines and help out and things. And it was also a time that they were having 2 of their kids. So my sister just gave birth, and the environmental impact of like the diapers and all these things were very real at that time. So we knew there were these things. And aside from that, the natural and organic movement was growing and growing. It was becoming the trend in America. So things like Whole Foods, farm to table, farmers market, those kinds of things were becoming more and more popular. And so it led us to do some research because of interest as well, to really think about and look at these natural extracts and the synthetic components and what leads to cancer and things like that, because those were all becoming very real in terms of the marketing of other companies as well. Little by little, we noticed that we were starting to throw away our conventional products, shampoos, toothpaste, facial washes, and starting to acquire new ones that are natural, that are organic, etc., etc. And so it was in the process of us looking at the ingredients list. My brother-in-law, just to give a unique background about him, he does not like cosmetics. So he is a manly man. He had his background was in video games, so he's a British man. Actually, his cousin is here today. Hi, Vanessa. Yes. And so, just to give you a background, he started this company called Gameplay in London, which led him to be a very successful businessman. It was him pioneering the distribution of video games through phone and delivering it to the people's doorstep. And so he became very successful. He became a very successful entrepreneur. But at one point in his life, I think he was around 25, he woke up just thinking, God, why am I rich? He had like all these millions. He had like BMWs, he's had Ferraris and all these things. But he was questioning himself, why am I rich? Which led him to this journey to find his purpose in life, which he found in Gawad Kalinga. And so he was like, okay, he sent an email to my dad saying, I want to help. I want to give you this amount of money. And being the crazy father that he is, he said, oh, I don't need your money. If you want to help out, come to the Philippines. And so he intended to stay for, I think, 2 weeks, but he ended up staying for a little over than that, falling in love with the Philippines, the work that Gawad Kalinga has done, and then eventually falling in love with my sister. And so that's how it started. And now is a father of 5, turning 6 children. So just to give you a background, me being just very passionate about cosmetics and ever since I was very young, and then my sister with her corporate background, having experienced work in Nestle as well as in an ad agency called Ogilvy & Mather, it just sort of like converged because of this one common thing, which is Gawad Kalinga. And 8 years ago, during the time that we were trying to start it, Gawad Kalinga already had around 2,000 communities that were already set up. Communities that already underwent values formation, communities that already were having like education programs, homes, as well as all these health programs as well. But we were thinking there was one thing that was lacking, which is sustainable jobs, sustainable livelihood. And so for 2,000 communities, that's a lot of people. So if we were to start something to answer that, it can't be small. So we just sort of converged all our interests and came up with a brand called Human Nature. And so what could be more scalable than thinking about all the things that you can actually use in your toilet, in your shower, and in your bathroom? Because we want also to change the face of social enterprise products to veer away from being a petty purchase that you can only just buy one time, like, an embroidery or like a braided bracelet or something like that, into something that you really, people who don't even have social consciousness would want to buy. And so we came up with this company with 3 main values in 2008. We are pro-Philippines, basically saying that 100% of the production, like we manufacture everything in the Philippines, generating jobs for 411 people now. We are also pro-poor, not because we want to keep them poor, but we really want to have the poor to have a track out of their poverty. And we are also pro-environment because we are coming up with genuinely natural products, and we are, even early on, I think here in France, it's very trendy now, the word called greenwashing, wherein you just put like one natural ingredient in your product and, you can call it natural. So early on, we wanted to have integrity in what we are trying to sell. And so it grew. It grew pretty much because, the story is good, with also the help of being connected with Gawad Kalinga. And we have several very unique business practices as well that come along with it. So one is, ever since we started, we really tried to be able to give fair wages. So despite us being small back then, we are already paying 50% above minimum wage in 2008. And now, come 2016, we are already paying 70% above the minimum wage in the city. And even more in the provinces, it's around 200% above minimum wage, because there is that difference in the ratings of the legal minimum in the province and in the city. Aside from that, we also have this thing called no firing policy. So coming from a company that around 50 to 60% of our employees are coming from Gawad Kalinga communities, we had to impose this sort of like thing in our company, because we can't give up on our people. When they commit a mistake, we have to develop them, we have to process it with them, we have to train them. We don't just give up on them, because if we as a social enterprise give up on them, what makes us even different from other, conventional enterprises as well? And aside from that, talking about the integrity part, we are now the first brand in the whole of Asia to be certified natural by Natural Products Association of America, because in the whole of Asia, there is no certifying body that would really, make sure that, what your claims are true, because it's not covered by the Food and Drug Association locally or anywhere. And so, we made that happen. Also, we were awarded in 2011 by PETA to be cruelty-free. We were the first local company to be able to achieve that as well. And in terms of me and us being here, I guess it's also just saying the part that it can be done. Social enterprises can be scaled up because, as I've mentioned, we have 411 employees now. We have 100,000 advocates and dealers all over the Philippines. We have presence in Abu Dhabi. We have presence in Malaysia, in USA, and in Singapore. And we're looking at expanding even more further. Aside from that, being like one of the pioneers, I guess, our job or our goal is also to be a social enterprise gateway for the smaller social enterprises that are around us. So, we create this ecosystem because we have already the distribution channel, having presence in a lot of the major malls as well. We use that as a platform for the other social enterprises to be able to sell their products as well. Because when you're starting, I think that's one of the biggest difficulty, to find a way to be able to sell your product and communicate it to the world. And in terms of being effective, I guess we are also proud that we have been nominated as finalists of the Sustainable Beauty Awards this 2016. The other people that were finalists also were Woleda and Jivodan, which for me is very overwhelming because these are like 200-year companies that have been existing. And so that's something major for a social enterprise with with us just dreaming for our country and achieving such a thing. And now we're also being featured side by side to like Chanel, Estee Lauder, and like magazines, and we were being featured by Cosmopolitan magazine as one of the best natural beauty brands also locally. So our message is just that it can be done if your heart is pure, your intention is pure, what you're doing is really a testament of your faith as well. It could really succeed. Thank you.
No, I didn't have time for her growing up. I was not even there for her graduation in college because I was in a slum area where we were building a new community. But she didn't attend her college graduation. She was there with me. So we're just a crazy family, you know. And we feel that we are abnormal because we felt that the old normal was not working, was not making the world any better. So we're here to create the new normal. And that's why we have to debunk all the cliches that Vincent was talking about, because to make really every business social and for us to really mainstream and to even become a market leader, what to me is a joy is when I visit the stores of Manila. I go to that high end in Rockwell, and I see that they have the most number of SKUs and that they are side by side with the multinationals, and they have more products in every category, and they have made natural affordable to mainstream. So they also have over 1 million users now. And so I guess it just affirms us. They started online because they had no money, no marketing budget. They started selling online, delivering products even at 2 o'clock in the morning or wherever. And then they did branching. They did also a dealership like Avon. And now even the director for Asia, for the supply chain of Avon for Asia, has quit her job to move over to them. So how can a social enterprise that's only barely 8 years old attract now the brightest also executives? So now then they went into the dealership, and they went into branching like Body Shop, and now they're doing retail, just like Procter&Gamble, Unilever, and so on. So it's, to me, it's a great feeling, you know, having the really just seen that that bringing the poor out of poverty will actually create new markets. And when I wake up in the morning, I use toothpaste, I use Human Nature toothpaste, my shampoo, my deodorant, my soap, everything. The bread that we eat is made by a social entrepreneur in our Farm Village University. The peanut butter, we make our peanut butter, we plant peanuts, we make them into peanut butter. The chicken, the duck burger, everything. And so I wake up and then I sleep at night having used, you know, all the products that our various entrepreneurs made. Last year, we had Shannon here come to your place, and he makes beverage out of lemongrass and all the healthy herbs, and now his products are being sold in 1,000 stores in Manila. So the ability to scale up. Alvi was here also. They were also invited to the World Forum Lil. He spoke about his duck burger. Now his duck burger was chosen as the best burger in Manila. So again, you go for quality. So, and to show that the entrepreneurship can be bottom up, we have with us here Vincent, who lived in our farm when he was only 10 years old, and now he's 18. He just finished 2 years of our social entrepreneurship program. He's now on his gap year doing a startup with his partner from HEC, who was supposed to come here tonight, but because his train, you know, got derailed or something. But Vincent learned how to speak English 2 years ago, but because when you're poor in the Philippines, you speak the local language because only the people from the top universities, they speak that, although the Filipinos are also very, very articulate when, you know, in fact, we have become the call center capital of the world because of our ability to communicate. But people like Vincent, who comes from a remote area, they are just expected to be like, you know, the door for opportunity are closed to them. So anyway, when we opened our Farm Village University, it was precisely to create a hub for people like Vincent, open a door for him to really discover his also potential for greatness. So it's amazing that 2 of our students now, the classmates of Vincent, were given a 4-year scholarship by ESSEC on business. And the other night, we were in Lyon, and Paul Bocuse Foundation, the best culinary school, is offering a scholarship for 2 also of our students for next year. So somehow this whole new stream is flowing, and maybe because when they heard Vincent, maybe it shows that the untapped wealth of my country are still at the bottom of the pyramid. And it's important and it took the French to discover them and to even bring them now to the attention of the world. Would you like to hear Vincent? Vincent, Please pardon his French.
Bonsoir à tous. Je m'appelle Bangson, j'ai 18 ans. Je suis un Philippin. Je ne suis pas un Chinois. J'habite à la ferme Enchanted. Ma famille est une bénéficiaire du Gawad Kalinga. Je rêve et travaille avec Louis. Je sais que je peux marquer un terme à la pauvreté pour moi, ma famille et mon pays. You know, until now, it's still unimaginable for a person like me to be here. I mean, to speak French, to speak English, and even to be here in France. You know, everything has changed in my life since we became part of Gawad Kalinga. And a lot of things has happened. And, you know, before we came to Gawad Kalinga, we were homeless. But remembering those days, I think we were not just homeless, but we were also hopeless. Because we were just contented. You know, we just accepted the pattern that if our father is a subsistent farmer, if our father is a construction worker, if our father is drunkard, wife beater, in the end of the day, we'll just be like them. You know, personally, I didn't have a dream. And we thought we were just like that. We're just poor. And it's our destiny. And I think it's really because of more than 300 years of colonization that, you know, we thought that we're not good enough because we're not white enough. That we were just capable of being slaves. We're just followers. We're just, you know, consumers. We're just there to obey. But today in the farm, in the Philippines, there's a lot of foreigners. There's a lot of white people. But they are not there as bosses, but they are there as my brother, as family, as partner. And they're the one who's tell me that you're worthless. You have a value. You can be a wealth creator. You can be a job provider. You can become a social entrepreneur. And that's why right now, people like me are already seeing that, are already believing in ourselves. Because personally today, because of Gawad Kalinga, we are living in a decent house. We have access to water and electricity. We're not getting hungry anymore because both of my parents are working. My father is a former garbage collector, but he's now a vermiculturist, and he makes fertilizers out of worms. And my mother now is part of the housekeeping team at the farm. We have access to education. My two siblings are almost graduating in high school. And I finished 2 years of social entrepreneurship in the first farm village university in the world, in SEED, or School for Experiential and Entrepreneur Development. And I'm now in my gap year. And I'm partnering with a French guy from HEC. And you know, really a lot of unimaginable things. That's why today having this social entrepreneurship in my life, I treat this as my everything. Because we're dealing with life. We're raising chickens. And it's not like the smart apps that when they get virus, we can easily encode them. Our chickens, when they die, we cannot encode them. So it just telling us that we have to be more responsible. We have to become provider and protector. That's why how I manage my chickens is also how I manage my relationship to my family, to my mother, to my father, and maybe to my girlfriend in the future. But, you know, in our school, we're not supposed to smoke. We're not supposed to drink alcohol, use drugs. We're not also supposed to have a girlfriend until we graduate or until we're ready. We're also decided that we will not play theater. We will not also play basketball because a lot of universities in the Philippines, or maybe all of the universities, have those stuffs, but they're still in the vicious cycle of poverty. And, you know, we used to say this, that we will not play Pokemon Go. We would rather catch real chickens, real ducks, real pigs, rather than catching Pikachu. And, you know, I'm still 18 years old, and I still have a long way to go But right now, I have this conviction because I have a dream. And that dream is not only for myself, but also for my family and my country. And I have these people beside me that won't give up on people like me, that will, that will believe in me, that will love me, that will really believe and trust and have faith in people like me. And having this social entrepreneurship, having this enterprise, we're not really into technologies yet. Because, when we talk about chickens, feed formulation, vaccination, building pens, those things, we can easily Google them. But for people like me, to see the value, to be honest, to become hardworking, to become heroic, to think about our family and our country, for us to become a real man, for us to become better citizens, those are things that we cannot Google. Tito Tony used to tell us that before you go to heaven, you have to go to hell. And hell to us is really discovering ourselves. So we wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, we work until noon, we take up cost accounting, business management, we learn English and French in the afternoon. And I think this is really my home. That's now I'm starting to dream that our brilliant chickens will free my fellow Filipinas out of hunger and poverty. But freedom is not really a place because we're like prisoners of poverty. We're like in a jail called poverty. And I think having this privilege, having this freedom is not really a place but a mindset. So if I want to change the world, if we want to change the world, it will really start within ourselves. It will really start within our mind. Thank you very much.
So, this is very interesting because we get the elite universities in the Philippines coming to our farm, listening to people like Vincent who come from the bottom of the pyramid, talk about their big dreams and their big sacrifice to achieve that dream. And many of them are starting to get scared that in 10, 15 years from now, Vincent will be the business owner, the bottom of the pyramid will be the business owner, and the privileged, entitled rich will be working for him. So this is really flipping the pyramid because the bottom of the pyramid is the biggest untapped human resource, untapped market. And that's why doing a bottom-up will help discover gems like Vincent, who, because of poverty, have been covered with dirt. And when we polish them with love, with presence, with dreams, and then the precious stones come out. And it is people like Fabian who is privileged with the best that France can offer. He came to the farm 5.5 years ago, and he was only supposed to stay for 3 months. And in the beginning, he saw a lot of problems that we were trying to address. But because of the difference in culture, he was coming from a top-down lens. He did not fully grasp. But in time, because he's smart, he understood. And he decided to stay for 5.5 years. And he has established and he is the first Filipino toy maker to enter Toy Kingdom, the biggest distribution network for toys in the Philippines. And unfortunately, ironically, it's a Frenchman. So, but he is more Filipino than many Filipinos I know. But by loving the Philippines, he has also learned to really love his country. And how he, together with Louis, have become the best face of France to the Philippines. And there is now genuine affection, as I told President Hollande, for the French. And that's that's what your government has recognized, that the Filipinos now are known in 22 top universities of France because of people like Fabian, who discovered himself in Vincent. Fabian?
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Tito, for introducing me as a smart person, because when I decided to go to the Philippines, what I heard from my family and my school was that I was stupid. So it's a bit of a change of a mindset. So 5.5 years ago, I was like you guys. I was in my school. I was taking up master in business and entrepreneurship. And I was really wondering what I was going to do with my life. What am I going to do after graduation? What type of business I'm going to start? What type of entrepreneurs I'm going to be? And if you compute it, 5.5 years ago, this is 2011, when France was going through a difficult financial crisis. That was the beginning of all the companies firing people, and you see a competition of the highest golden parachutes that you can get, and outsourcing and everything. And I was really looking for my purpose. I would not talk with conviction. I would not go to school with conviction. And that's crazy because this guy is just 18 years old, and he's speaking with so much passion and so much conviction. So at 21 years old, I felt like I'm just not going anywhere. Like I'm really questioning what I'm going to do with my life. And this led me to a journey looking for answers, and I decided to go as far as I could. And the Philippines is quite far. If you guys have never been there, it will take you a while when you make your decision to join us in the Philippines, which we're going to do in 2 days, going back there. And I thought, I saw something online. They were saying they're going to end poverty using business. That's something I've never seen before, that business and ending poverty would be together in the same sentence for the Philippines. So I was quite curious, and I decided to visit them. I started sending them some emails, asking them, what is this all about? And they sent me beautiful PowerPoint presentation and master plan, saying this is the Center for Social Innovation. So, wow, got convinced that this is something I want to check out. So I booked a plane. I went to the Philippines for something that was supposed to be 3 months, as mentioned by Tito. And when I landed in the Philippines, they picked me up, and we were like driving for like close to 3 hours, going up north in the provinces, and there was like no more roads, only trees. Like, I was wondering, where are these guys taking me? Is it a trap? Are they going to ask for a ransom from my parents, or did I get just kidnapped like, stupidly? And they took me to a place, and they said, this is the Enchanted Farm, we're here. And I met Tony Meloto. He was waiting for me there, and he happened to be my tour guide. Started taking me around, and he was introducing me the concept of the farm. And he was saying, this is the Silicon Valley for social entrepreneurship. So you imagine a big Google, a big Cisco, and everything. But he also said that's not enough. That's also the Disneyland for social tourism. So you imagine there's a roller coaster going from Google to Cisco. Then after he said like 3 steps further, this is also the Harvard for social education. Can you guys picture it? You have one of the most prestigious campus in the world together with Cisco, Google, and a roller coaster. That's pretty exciting. But when I look around me, there was nothing. Just mud, kogan, which is a tall grass in the Philippines, mosquitoes. There's like no road. Like, where is the Silicon Valley that you talked about? And he just said it's here and here. We have to build it. And so I thought, I'm stupid. Why did I go to the Philippines? He is crazy. Why I'm here? It was pretty bad. And I was supposed to do a report for my school. I was sending them pictures, and they called my internship freestyle. So in my student record, it says that I went on a freestyle internship, which eventually became a gap year. And so I had the gap year freestyle in my student record. So eventually I did not go back to school because it seems like my school was not taking me seriously for what I was doing. And on the first night, they just told me, you're going to sleep there, inside one of the GK house. He was my neighbor. And I went inside the house, and it was smaller than my apartment in Grenoble. And I was wondering, well, okay, there's already 7 people living inside. How are we going to fit? Then they showed me my bed, which is like made out of bamboo. And if you guys want to check out if a bamboo bed is comfortable, then just try to sleep on the table or something later tonight. And my best friend was a mosquito net. I had to protect myself from mosquitoes that were as big as chicken. I've never seen that. We don't have mosquitoes like that in Normandy or in Grenoble. It was pretty crazy. And my roommates actually were baby chicken, because Vincent was not yet catching chicken back then. So I was like, okay, am I going to sleep here really? Like, I'll be here for the next 3 months. And I found out when it was about 6 p.m. that water and electricity were not available. So, okay, am I really going to spend 3 months here? Am I really going to stay here? Why did I leave my school? Why did I leave my comfort zone? Let's go back to Grenoble, and let's just enjoy the student life and just look for work. I'll be happy. But I had to stay there for 3 months, and eventually I was down to the less materialistic part of my life, where you have no choice but to just converse with people. You know, your phone's not there, your laptop's not working, no signal, so you just talk to people. And I spend a lot of time just sharing with other people, and Filipinos are so hospitable. So no matter wherever you go, no matter which house you go, you're more than welcome. They'll give you breakfast. So we have 50 houses in the community, so you can get 50 breakfasts in the morning if you want, and 50 lunch later on. And you have a lot of kids that will just go around you and call you kuya, kuya, which means big brothers. So I did not realize that I had that many siblings in the Philippines. I don't know if my parents went there before. I don't know if my mom paid a visit to the Philippines. I was not aware, but just had a lot of siblings, and it's a lot of Filipinos out there. And I was really trying to understand, okay, so what's my role now? What's the plan? Because Tito just said we're going to build it. And so I had to become a mason. I had to become a carpenter. I had to learn how to do welding. I built a basketball court. I built a playground. Those are things that my school did not really teach me. I don't know if you guys do have classes like that in your master degree. I felt a bit clueless, but I was also amazed on how come people that have so little can be so generous. The house is so small, they have so little food, but there's always something for me. And I think in France, we have so much and we're going to be so selfish. If that person from the host family would come to my house and knock on the door, I don't know if I'll open. Like, who's that people? I don't know if I'll share whatever food I have in my ref. And that's something that was kind of amazed. Like, how come they're so generous? How come GK was able to establish also something that is really built on caring and sharing, on solidarity, on helping one another, that I thought we could actually translate all those values in the way we do business. What if we actually build the first farm village university in the world? What if we actually build the first Silicon Valley for social entrepreneurship? That's what I emailed my mom. And of course, she said I was crazy, but I'm still there. Up to now, I'm still in the Philippines, running after and chasing this dream. And when I look at the Philippines, I see a country with 1 million of business opportunities and very limited entrepreneurs. And when I look at France, I see a lot of entrepreneurs here. But good luck, guys, to find opportunities in our country. And so I thought maybe there's a way to build some synergies. Maybe we can have Filipinos and French to partner and develop industries in the Philippines. And I did not know what to pick. Too many choices, too many industries to venture in. So I decided to choose people instead of an industry. I decided to choose my host family. I wanted to change their life. I wanted to do something for them. Because the mother that was hosting me has the same story as thousands of mothers just around the area. They used to be working for the garments factory. They used to be making bags, dresses, curtains, and everything. But over the past decade, everything has just closed down. Outsourced to another Asian country. And I thought before outsourcing would be from France to the Philippines. I did not expect that outsourcing would be from Philippines to Cambodia. This is pretty crazy that it's non-stop. You just look for the cheapest country and the cheapest country and the cheapest country, and it's just endless. There's no limit. And so I thought this is something that I want to do. Maybe I can use my entrepreneurship skills, whatever I've learned at school, and I will partner with my host family, and we'll start a new venture. We're going to start a new business that will restore their livelihood, that will restore their dignity. And so I thought, like, I found a conviction. I found something I want to do. But I was not too much into sewing, and I was not too much into dresses. I don't wear dresses. I was not too much into curtains and pillowcases because I had no pillows anyway on my bed. So those are things that I was trying to identify which product I could go for. And I remember those little kids going around and calling me Kuya all around. And so many of them became actually my godchildren. So I'm the godfather of like 12 or 13 children in the Philippines. So eventually I found out that when it's Christmas or when it's their birthday, it starts really being expensive. So I thought maybe I will work with the mothers. We're going to start something. We're going to make stuffed toys. So we're going to give them to the kids whenever it's their birthdays, whenever it's Christmas. So I will become a good godfather. And at the same time, a lot of children in the Philippines actually grew up without toys. And again, it's a lot of kids in the Philippines. They don't have that many contraceptive methods yet. So it's millions of them. It's like a handful of children everywhere. So I thought that's a huge market as well. Maybe we can sell stuffed toys to people in the city and we will donate them to the kids in the province. And because we're in a place that is called the GK Enchanted Farm, I thought it doesn't make sense to make teddy bear. But maybe it makes sense to make fruits and vegetable stuffed toys that you've seen on the video. So I thought of making a tomato. And so I was starting drawing on a piece of paper. I was trying to find how to make a pattern. And I was blaming my school for not giving us like pattern classes and how to teach us how to use a sewing machine. Would have been very useful at this point of time. And so when we tried our first tomato stuffed toys, it was really bad. It looked like ketchup. Can you picture it? Like really flat, really bad. I thought, okay, you're just crazy. You're just dreaming. No way you can do something like this. But we tried again, and we were able to come up with a tomato. And I was like a kid. Hey, I made a tomato. And I was showing it to everyone in the community and everyone that was there. And I showed it to Tito Tony, and he just bought it. So he bought my first toy for one of his grandchildren. And as mentioned earlier, Dylan from Human Nature has 5 grandchildren. Then there's all the siblings. So he needs more than one toy. That's already many kids that are jealous. So with the money, I bought 1 extra yard of thread, and I made 5 tomatoes. And I sold them again to Tito Tony for the other grandchildren. So with the money, I went to buy 2 yards to make 10 tomatoes. And I tried to sell them again to Tito Tony. But he had already too many tomatoes. So I thought maybe I can make another design. I should be able to sell it again. Maybe if I make a citrus or if I make a banana, I'll be able to sell it again to him. Because you can see in the video now it's nice and there's a lot of visitors and stuff. But 5 years ago, he was the only visitor there. So he was our only customer. So I had to be innovative and come up with more designs. And so those different fruits and vegetables, I would put them in my backpack and I would go to Manila. And I would try to sell them on the wet market. You know what's the wet market? Where you can buy fruits and vegetables and meat and fish. So you imagine people with real fruits and vegetables. I would set up a table beside them, selling stuffed toys of fruits and vegetables. And I would be like people on the market. Tomato, eggplant, banana. And I would give prices per kilo. That was pretty weird. And you know how many weird stuff happened to be viral online? That's what happened to me. People were taking pictures and video of like, who's that stupid French guy trying to sell stuffed toys on a wet market? And because of that, I got featured on the newspaper. Like one of the most original things you can find in the news in the Christmas market and wet market in Manila. And I ended up on TV the following morning, and I ended up having a lot of exposure, created a Facebook page. And so over the first 3 months, we were able to sell like something close to 1,000 stuffed toys. And so when people were asking, where can we buy the toy? Where can we buy the toy? We tell them, oh, you just need to take 2 buses, 1 tricycle, and 1 jeepney, so you can get to our farm in Bulacan and you can buy the toys. Very inaccessible if you want to buy a stuffed toy. So that's how you challenge ourselves to make our products available in the market. And if you are in the toy industry, you don't have that many type of outlets. You cannot sell them in the bakery. You cannot sell them in the drugstore. So I had to go to the toy store, which is one of the biggest stores in the Philippines. And eventually, we were able to make it happen. We became the first Filipino toy to be sold in a toy store in the Philippines. And we're side by side with some brands. I don't know if you heard about them. Walt Disney. No, I don't know them. Hello Kitty, SpongeBob. So we're side by side with those guys. And so obviously, we have to be a bit more creative. We have to be a bit more innovative. And so when I started doing competitive analysis and when I started doing my SWOT analysis and all those stuff, I realized there was no single Filipino toy in the market. So I thought that could be my unique selling proposition. I'm sure you guys do that. You have to figure out what's your USP and your value proposition. And like, okay, I'm going to come up with the first Filipino toy. So I started looking at my tomato and I told her, you're going to become the Hello Kitty of the Philippines. Very ambitious for a little tomato that has no story and no name. And so eventually I started thinking of how I can create a story around that little tomato. And this little tomato, like all the other stuffed toys, are actually handcrafted by the mothers inside the houses. So they do the cutting, the stuffing, the hand stitching in front of the TV so they can take care of the children, they can take care of the house. And so when I do my production run in the morning, I go around the houses. I go to the house where they make the tomato. I go to the house where they make the banana. I take 3, 4, 5 breakfasts. Then we watch TV. Filipinos are loving TV. They have like one of the highest rate of the number of hours they spend in front of TV. and they're watching all the drama in the afternoon, they're watching all the celebrities, and they love it. And every single product that happens on a commercial has a celebrity. It has one singer or it has one artist that is promoting the product. So I thought, hey, let's do the same for the toys. Let's get the big celebrities to endorse our products. But instead of getting them to pose with our products, I started naming our toys after Filipino celebrities. Do you guys know Manny Pacquiao? Is there any Filipino? Are you guys Filipino? Obviously. So Manny Pacquiao is 8 times world champion of boxing. He's very famous in the Philippines. His nickname is Manny Pacman Pacquiao. And watermelon in Filipino is Pacwan. So I created Manny Pacwan, named after Manny Pacquiao. It's very funny when you say it in the Philippines, but obviously there's only 2 guys laughing today. I'll do something that will resonate maybe more to the French people. You guys know Billy Crawford? Yeah, you're a bit of my generation. I'm not too old. So Billy Crawford was famous in France, and he happens to be Filipino. So I created a chili paper that is called Silly Crawford. So it's a red chili paper that has his face, and we created stories around him. And we created another Anna banana, basically. We created different types of fruits and vegetables named after celebrities. And we were able to give it to them, and they were able to post it on their social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Created a big buzz, big celebrities posting with our products. But again, if people wanted to buy our products, they have to go all the way to Bulacan. This is why we had to bring them inside the stores. And that was a way for us to differentiate ourselves, differentiate our products, and to sell more and more of our products. But eventually, the toy industry is very seasonal. You sell like 70 to 80% of your toys during Christmas time. So that's like October, November, December, that's when you sell. The rest of the year, you don't sell anything. So again, I had to be creative. I had to find a way that I would be able to sell the toys. And fortunately, aside from being a toy maker, I'm also a mascot myself. I introduce myself. I'm a mascot of Tony Meloto. When Tony Meloto travels, when Tony Meloto goes to meeting, he brings me around. He tells the story of, oh, he's the French guy that complained when he goes to the Philippines. I wanted to send him home 3 times, and he's still here. He's a very stubborn guy. Tell them what you do in the Philippines. And among those people, I met cabinet secretaries, I met corporate CEOs, I met a lot of influential people. And when I go to this meeting, I bring my backpack. But in my backpack, I don't have my laptop or notebook or whatsoever. In my backpack, I bring Silly Crawford, I bring Manny Pacquiao, I bring the banana, I bring all of the different toys. And for those who had the chance to go to the Philippines, that's something that is different than France. Is in any single building that you enter, you have to open your bags for security check, which we had to do, by the way, here. So you have to open your bag. And so I can't tell you how many times it felt so awkward that the guy is just looking at my bag, looking at me, looking at my bag. Is this guy a pedophile or something? Going to a meeting with a CEO and bringing 5 toys. But because of that, every time I get the chance, I just put them on the table and I would pitch it to the company. Hey, what if you make a corporate giveaway? What if you make a mascot or something that you can give to your collaborators and your employees? And it worked. And now we make mascots for Shell, for Accenture, for Nestle, for Air France KLM. And it became the biggest part of our revenues. So now 80% of our revenues come from corporate orders. And I remember when I was doing my business canvas, my segment market was just, customer segment was just kids between 0 to 10 years old. But now, my biggest customer segment is corporation. Then I sell to government. Then I sell to high school girls also. I sell to college girls. I sell to people on the wet market. I sell in Toy Kingdom to kids and families. So eventually, if you start going out, you realize that your business model can be so different than what you thought. If you just remain in your classroom or if you just remain in your room thinking of your business model, you might not think big enough. You might not think out of the box. And so little by little, our company is growing. And of course, it looks like a beautiful story. We're selling bananas and stuff, but you guys are interested to know if it's at least a bit sustainable. And so eventually, we started with a huge capital of 90 euros. So I'm sure everyone has that in his pocket or in his bank account right now. That was our starting capital. And today, this is over 150,000 euros worth of revenues. We're providing jobs to about 40 mothers that are still working from their houses. And we sold over 100,000 stuffed toys in the Philippines. And this is just the beginning, because our dream is to become the biggest toy maker in the Philippines. One of my biggest dreams is to kick out Hello Kitty from the Philippines. Is there any Japanese here? I'm sorry. I want to kick out that stupid cat from Japan. I don't want this cat to be in the Philippines anymore. So if Hello Kitty is making curtains, I will make curtains. If Hello Kitty is making panties, then I will make panties. I will compete wherever Hello Kitty is. And once I've done that, I'll go to Japan. And the Japanese kid will be playing with Manny Pacquiao and Silly Crawford and all the Filipino toys, because we believe Filipino toys are world-class and Filipino models are world-class. And if you want to find out more about our brand, it's called Plush and Play. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And every time I go to France, I do some sort of crowdfunding. You know the people beside the Eiffel Tower that are selling the keychains and stuff? I do the same. So I brought keychain with me, and as long as the security will allow it, I will try to sell it to you guys. And after, I'll run with your money. Is that fine? Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you, Ron. Actually, you said something that was quite true. Earlier on, you mentioned entrepreneurship being very fashionable in France and I suppose in the Western world as well. But often it's rather, I mean, you know, somewhat rather say selfish vocation. I mean, you've got people wanting to be their own bosses, people wanting to be free, and not really with a precise goal in mind. And on the other hand, especially Mr. Meloto, I mean, you laid the stress on your Christian values, you love for your people. Everybody here has got a precise goal in mind, trying to hack poverty, making this world a better place. I mean, you name it. But don't you think, everybody, that it's necessary to be driven by such values if you want to escape wild capitalism when you want to set up your business? I mean, too often people might be guided by just the will to be their own bosses or make money, but do you think it's necessary for any entrepreneur to be guided by values and really a vision of society?
Well, for me, that was just my choice. I wanted to live life with a purpose. And I realized that I had to have vision for the kind of world I wanted for my children. So I wanted to build a world where no one is an enemy or a victim. I wanted a world where rich and poor can work together as partners, not one master and the other labor. I wanted to see to build a world where the poor are not just objects of charity, but as our untapped human capital. I wanted to see a world where the poor are family. So I had to expand my own definition of family. So it meant that whatever I do with my life, it has to be driven by a vision, and I should have values to really make it to be my anchor, my compass. And I'm just amazed because a lot of people are looking for the same thing. And 2 years ago, after Typhoon Haiyan, we called for volunteers to help us build houses, build schools, plant trees, do medical mission. We had the ambitious goal of calling for 1 million volunteers. And in 3 months, we got 1.5 million volunteers. So again, we realized that it is the authenticity of the vision that resonates also with everyone's aspiration for a better world. You know that, and if you're anchored on values of integrity, of hard work, of honesty, of compassion that is matched with competence, of kindness that is matched with excellence, it will be sustainable, and it will be scalable. And so when we built Gawad Kalinga, we started building a social movement. And we didn't think of an anti-poverty project. Normally, that's how people think, with a project with a project life, with maybe 3 years, and people talk about exit strategy before they even begin. And oftentimes it's dependent on funding. But I wanted to build something a project, movement strategy to end poverty in my country. And so it had to be a huge platform. We keep on pushing the borders, but we had to anchor it on solid values. Big vision, but very solid values. And amazingly, it's what makes it. We keep on pushing the borders, the boundaries. We always are inadequate, incomplete, imperfect. And so even schools like ESSEC sent a team to do a social impact assessment of the Enchanted Farm, had difficulty because the measures of the world are always about money. The bottom line is money. And our bottom line is value. And our bottom line is not ownership. Our bottom line is about stewardship. So ownership oftentimes leads to greed and selfishness. Stewardship is about responsibility that comes with your talent, that comes with your properties, that with all your opportunities. So again, those are very simple values. And I think this is what keeps us, they should be the foundation of our shared humanity. And so sky is the limit. And like 3 or 4 years ago, when human nature was just growing, there was a venture capital group that already wanted to buy $5 million for 20% of the business. And they didn't sell. But normally people put up a business so that, and sell it. We have so many serial entrepreneurs. But on the other, but the problem is that, our vision is not for sale. And simply because we go after value, we don't go for the money. So again, that's another cliche, that we wanted also to, because when you go to America, people always take pride in being successful entrepreneurs and selling their business, starting a new one, But then, of course, you have also a society that where some of their top leaders have made it, fashionable to simply look at people, and tell them you're fired. So so we want, those are cliches in business that we want to change. That business is about people, and doing good makes good business sense. So again, it's not changing the world, but it's changing ourselves first. Just like Vincent, I just find it uncanny that an 18-year-old could see himself very clearly, more than people from my generation. Many of us have messed up this world. And that's why I look to young people like you. Maybe you can build a kinder world than what we have built. But anyway, that's not possible if we do not also see that the power of business to do so much good in this life and to make the future much better than what it is now. So I hope that this little conversation will allow you not to sleep tonight and make you think that there must be a bigger world waiting for you out there to discover. And the first thing you must do next year is come to our Social Business Summit on January 20, 21, and 22 and meet about 1,000 social entrepreneurs from all over the world, because we would like to create a global ecosystem for people who will build the new economy anchored on vision and values.
Thank you, Tony. There's a lot of entrepreneurs in this room, so I'm sure they're touched by what you said. I want you to know, when you work on a new project, you often hear, when you're an entrepreneur, that projects that are based on changes in mindsets, that aim at changing people mindsets, are very hard to implement, very hard to realize. So I wanted to know, how do you talk to people when you first created the communities? How do you talk to people to drive them towards mindset changes?
First, you share the vision. I think it's important that you don't do it for people, you do it with them. So when I look at a slum community, people see the ugliness, people see the crime. I see only the beautiful community it can become and the good citizens that we can raise. So we talk to people and spend time with them. And it is, I guess it's easier for me now because we have we have built a massive platform there's proof of concept, and so many testimonials from all over. But in the beginning, it was not easy. But even for Vincent, the first time he came to the farm, he used to steal our watermelon. He used to steal, because when you're poor, there's an entitlement that survival allows you to do anything. But then we don't see him as we don't see what he has done in the past. We see him, the wonderful, not the bad things in the past, but the good things that he can do in the future. So when they start with their school with us 2 years ago, and even now, the first thing, like students like you, when you come to our orientation, the first week of our lessons, we ask people, their first lesson for the week is about integrity. So we ask everyone to write down everything that they have stolen, and we ask people to write down the lies that they have said and the people they have cheated. And I don't know if that's possible here in France, because people here are very private. But within us, we need to build a relationship on trust. And we want to help each other overcome also our own old mentalities. We have to overcome our old weaknesses. And they are always free not to participate. So again, like Vincent, he loves to smoke. But the thing here, we realize that if he wants to be a good entrepreneur, he has to have discipline. And why would he spend money that he can buy food? Or because oftentimes among poor people, they would rather fund their vices, get drunk, rather than buy good food or send their children to school. So again, if we want to have a partner like him, we have to have partners who are honest. But the thing here is, when he goes back to the Philippines, we will show the video of him speaking here. We will show it to as many students, thousands of people. And that will also open their mind that somebody from the bottom of the pyramid is now able to speak to the most educated people in one of the most prosperous countries in Europe, simply because he decided to be honest. So it's important for us to really create good stories and to tell the world about those stories. And that's why I think we have no rocket science here tonight. We're just showing you proof that it can be done. And even for Camille, to be able now to be the top natural cosmetic company in the Philippines, and for them now to be spreading their products all over the world, it was again anchored on vision and values. And they hired many people from Gawad Kalinga communities who used to be thieves and drug addicts. But when you restore human dignity, when you also give them opportunity for productivity, and they even have a no-firing policy, but they give them tough love. Just because you don't fire people doesn't mean that you just treat them like charity. No. You also demand also greatness from them. So they have to come on time, and they get also salary deduction, or they also get suspended if they do not do their job. And because they have this tremendous opportunity to get much higher wages than even those who have finished college. Because it's interesting, I went to a store check one day, our merchandiser who came from a Gawad Kalinga community did not finish high school, but he was a merchandiser, and he was there with the big corporations whose merchandisers were college graduates. But he was so proud because his products were the best displayed in the area, and he said, I don't have any insecurity because I earn higher wages than the college graduates. So again, if you put your own values into practice, then that word gets around to all the people you work with. And if people can see that because Vincent, who used to be on a survival mode, has decided now to be on a values mode, who has now decided to really develop his character, but because of that decision, he is now in France and even getting a standing ovation at the World Forum. And so these are the stories that we want the world to know. And so it's important that right now, like human nature does not pay a single cent on marketing and advertising. They have a zero marketing budget. But Camille has been on the cover of, and her sister cover of Entrepreneur magazine. They're in Town and Country, then a Cosmopolitan. They're practically in, and their models, some of them are actresses, celebrities, but they don't get paid. They just give them shampoo because they believe in the advocacy. So there is just, you know, a new world of opportunity that we can discover that will change mindsets. Okay?
All right, thank you, Mr. Meloto. I'm afraid we're running a tight schedule, so without further ado, let's skip to the questions from the audience. If anybody wants to ask questions, feel free to raise hands. Okay, if you don't have any questions at this point, I did have a question for my part. How to make social entrepreneurship attractive to the young people? I mean, there's also sometimes the cliches of, you know, going to, you know, the Philippines, enjoying, you know, nice landscapes, thinking it's like more like, you know, perhaps thinking I'm on a gap year, I'm going to do charity. How do you make really social entrepreneurship on the long term, with a long-term vision, attractive to the young people, even not the not so young people?
I guess proof of concept, no? Last month, I was invited to speak at Convergence in Paris. And I was asked, I think there were about 1,000 people there. I was asked, how does a Filipino NGO, very far away in Asia, attract so many bright young people from France to go to the Philippines when French NGOs cannot even attract them? So I asked somebody, one of the guys from Paris, who is an intern with us, to answer that. So I guess it is Fabian who should answer that, you know, because why would he find the Philippines now, you know, an attractive proposition for him to start social entrepreneurship when he has to be away from his own family, from his comfort zone? So how do you attract Fabian? How did I fool you, you know?
That's a good choice of word. How did he fool me? I think it's not just also making it attractive, but at some point it's answering one of the common needs you have among students right now. It's looking for a purpose. Seems like we don't get satisfied into getting a job, doing 8 to 5 p.m. and see the paycheck, because that's what our parents have done. And eventually most of our parents were able to find work, were able to get a pretty decent life and security, but at the same time it did not make them happier. It did not make our parents very happy. We have a very high divorce rate in France. A lot of people get separated. And I think our generation is also more conscious about the type of mess that the regular business have done all over the world. And if you start traveling, if you go to other countries, you also see what France or what other countries have been doing all over the world. And it's about time maybe that we give back, or we pay for things that have been done in the past. So eventually, one of the things that we found in the Philippines is passion, is convictions, is be able to live 100% with your values. You're not in a company where you have beautiful values at the front, but in the day-to-day work, then it's just the opposite. And I see it in the Philippines in a lot of corporations. They have like beautiful shared values and stuff, but in the day-to-day practices, this is very far from that. And I know among young students and among young graduates, this is not something we accept, we no longer accept. So one of the things that allows me to do in the Philippines is no matter what time is it in the week, no matter where I am, no matter who I'm talking to, I'm still the same person. I'm still going to use the same word. I'm still going to say whatever I think. And that's something I'm very proud to have, that integrity and being able to be honest the whole time. And there is something that Louis is not here tonight, but he usually talks about balance. He comes from HEC, and so all of his classmates, goes to dream of working for big audit cabinets and so on, and they kind of blame Louis and me for having no life, because we work from Monday to Sunday from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So we have no life according to them. But his answer to them is to say, you guys don't have a life. You're only living on weekends because you cannot enjoy your own week. You're just like fighting from Monday to Friday just to wait for the next weekend so you can party and forget that your life is boring and that your work is annoying. But for us, we wake up every morning with such a big dream and such enthusiasm that, hey, we're changing the world. And I think that's what any of the young people is looking for. How can we build a better and a safer and a kinder world, and not just something that we do as a hobby, but something also that can sustain ourselves. And social entrepreneurship is actually the answer that resonates to me. And I agree with Vincent that I want to take away the word social from social entrepreneurship, because I want it to become the new normal. I want one day that we won't teach people social entrepreneurship anymore, because we just changed the world already, that any single type of business venture will now consider better all the other bottom lines and the people and environment and everything. And so I'm sure you guys are already checking how much does it cost to go to the Philippines, and in your schedule, when is your next gap year or your next internship, so that some of your teachers can put freestyle on your student record.
So, guys, if you have any question, don't hesitate. Yeah, over here.
Thank you. Hello. I just want to know what's your point of view about the political situation in Philippines, because there is a new president who is pretty controversial. So I just want to know what's your point of view about this situation. Thank you.
I stay away from politics and religion simply because the work I do in caring for people, making lives better, has no term of office. And politics and religion are the two most divisive areas in our country. So what we are trying to do is just to build more communities, create more social impact, that there will be less drug addicts, that there will be less criminals in our country. The thing here is that oftentimes our country is portrayed badly by foreign press, and I would like to recommend people who have an opinion to come to the Philippines and see the real situation, because the French come to the Philippines, they find it the safest place. So the thing here is that we do not really depend on government, and I just find it strange, simply because there's a lot of good things about the Philippines, and we like to the people like in France to see, just like many of our interns have seen the real Filipino, not our politicians. I do not know how popular your president is here. I do not know how popular, how American politics is also playing out. So I guess the fact that for the last 20 years, I've been working underground, and I've buried 14 people, have been killed in our communities because of drugs and because of gang wars. And so my goal has to make our country safer by also entering those communities and trying to do our best to make them safer. So I hope that, because many French people who come with us, they say that the Philippines is now safer than Paris. So I guess that's a big statement, and I cannot make that. It can only come from them. But that's also the reason why we have about 300 French interns coming to the Philippines every year. And hopefully you can come and see for yourself. And maybe you can give your opinion when you come back.
So is there another question? Yes, over there, please.
Well, I think that, is it working? Yes. I think that I should start by thanking you so much. It has been a real blast to be able to listen to what you had to tell us, and to show that actually to build this change that you showed us, it's something that's possible. So I just like to offer perhaps a counterpoint to the discussion that we have had just now about this comparison perhaps from a more development place and from a more developed place. Because I think that the basic message is very much the same. I think that, and I see that from my students here, I think that most of the real challenge is about trying to challenge what is within each of us. And for those coming from a place where the environment is very complicated and clearly problematic, it's something that may be very visible. But for the guys that are here, I think there is also this very hard realization of understanding that their lives are also going to be a life where they may convert into a kind of existence of opportunities. So for those coming from more developed or more established, or from a place where the overlap of history, of a model of civilization, of a language, of an institution is so hard, what often they're going to face is a challenge of not believing that they're able to change anything, because everything has already been done. Therefore, there is nothing that they can change, and that there is nothing that they can change. So I believe that may be part of what Vincent has been struggling with, and his personal history is very beautiful because it shows that, yes, we can do it. Yes, we can be this change of opportunity inside of each of us. Yeah.
Can I comment on that? That's a very interesting point, because you're coming from a very developed environment where people have everything. That's what also I realize too that oftentimes people complain because they come from a very high level. So us in the Philippines, we're very resilient. When we come from the bottom, anything good that happens, we always celebrate. And it's interesting because we have a 26-year-old Frenchman, lives a very charmed life in France, comes to the Philippines because he was not contented with his corporate life. He found his life boring. But it was comfortable. It was safe. And then he came to the Philippines looking for a purpose, for meaning. And he partners with Vincent. His name is Gaspar. And he comes to me, I'm here because I want to really know what I can build. He says, I have not experienced pain or discomfort. He says, both my grandparents are still alive, my parents are still together, I went to a good school, I have a comfortable home, just like a lot of French people. But he said, I broke up with 3 girlfriends and I never felt any pain and whatever. But he said, now I want to man up. He says, because I'm starting to feel that the future will not be as comfortable and as safe. And he said, I came to the Philippines and I discovered one thing I was looking for. I wanted to learn how to be resilient, how to face adversity, not complain about problems, but be part of the solution, create opportunities, and not just accept things as they are. So he asked me, Tito, he calls me Tito, uncle, how can I man up? Because he was really affected by people like Vincent, who comes from very difficult circumstances, but every day are struggling very hard. They have courage, they have hope, they are radical optimists, and you have people who come from the top who are depressed. And because they read that about Brexit, they have to face a lot of things that are new to them, the refugee situation, terrorism, many things, the stagnating economy, and then they see that the energy is flowing towards the emerging economies. That's where capital is flowing. That's where a lot of wealth will be created. And so then they start to be curious. Will the charmed life that we have here in France remain charmed? And that's the uncertainty that people have to face. But because they're young, they're smart, maybe the first thing they need to do is to really just get out of their box, get out of that comfort zone, and start to really see the world 10, 20 years down the road. And since you're all smart, you can already start also to really talk about what is your vision for yourself. Well, because you can be a global citizen. You can either just be depressed by a lot of things that you do not control, or you can actually, follow new pathways and while you're still young, you know, and even if you don't be afraid to make mistakes, because, you know, like the Gawad Kalinga has grown not because I did all the right things, but because so many mistakes I learned from. And I guess this is, please make those mistakes that are not fatal while you're still young. No? And so anyway, I'm just trying to, maybe one or two of you will like Amelie, who came to us just doing an internship. But I think she came back to graduate here, and I think in January, she'll be back for a longer time with us, just like Fabian, just like Louis, just like many more, that, like Camille, she's able now to really find freedom. What she got is the freedom to be anywhere in the world, to create wealth that will give her freedom to do more good, to give more jobs, but to travel anywhere she wants to do, so that she can also share the kind of freedom that she has. And she does not even travel business class, even if she can afford it. Because for her, the wealth that she creates will have to be shared. So, I mean, it's your choice, it's your freedom. And right now, you have everything, but I do not know if you have that freedom. And that is, freedom is the greatest gift. And it's something that you should have, and that should be able to share to others.
So I think that those are great words to end this discussion. I'm sure it's not completely the end, as those words were seeds for many of us. I thank you very much for being with us tonight, and thank you to all of you, and good night.